A few weeks ago, when we talked about contract law here on The House Detective, we mentioned one little part that's super important. We're going to bring that back to you today. We've brought back in Kurt Franke with the law offices of Kurt A Franke to talk about the end result, the deed.
The deed.
The thing that says you own this.
Indeed.
Indeed. Let's talk about what happens, and you've actually brought one with us. We'll bring it up on the screen.
Yeah.
What people should be on the lookout for, because you get this, and this really is a super binding piece of paper,
right.
isn't it?
Yeah, and it's, I mean, this is a representation of the property that you just purchased. So if that isn't correct, you've purchased whatever that says, because your property is a physical thing. This is a piece of paper that describes that physical thing, and this says what interest you purchased in that. So it's very important to review this, and most people never review it. It just comes in the mail after it's been recorded, and they put it in a file and never look at it. Find out many years later, perhaps when they're trying to sell the problem, that there was a problem with their original deed.
All right, what are the red flags that people should be on the lookout for when they see this or they get it back before it's too late? Because now the laws have changed, and you can actually go back and say, wait a second, I see some problems.
Yeah. Well, you know, on the display, you'll see that in the upper left-hand corner, there's something called the APN number. That's the assessor's parcel number. You want to make sure that's the correct one. It lines up with all the APN numbers you'll have on various other documents. You'll also want to look at who the seller is, make sure that's correct as the property owner, who the buyer is, you, and if it's you and your wife or you and another person, you want to make sure they correctly describe how you're taking that property, the relationship of those two buyers to that property. Is it tenants in common? Is it tenants with right of survivorship? Then you want to look at a section you always see, accepting therefrom, or I grant you all this except. You want to make sure the except describes all the property that person owned. They're not trying to hold anything back. Now, that person might not have had the mineral, the water rights. They can only give you what they have. Finally, the seller's signature. You want to make sure that's the correct party. If you're buying from a corporation or you're buying from an LLC, you want to make sure the person signing under that seller's name is a person that's authorized by that corporation.
That makes a lot of sense. The last thing that's on this piece of paper is the notary's signature. Now, I have a personal story. I have heard where this has been signed by the notary and their stamp was expired. That makes this document null, doesn't it?
It does make it null. You know, you can still go back to that seller and say, hey, the document itself is null, but you would have some enforcement rights against the seller. But the document itself, that signature is not notarized. As long as the statute requires a notarized signature, then that's not a valid deed.
There you go. If you have a deed that you think has some problems, you got to sit down with Kurt. He can help you out and put this all together. Kurt, how they get a hold of you?
You can call my office at 827-6100. Speak with Linda, Joe, or Natalie. They'd be happy to set up an appointment. Or go to my website. That's LOCAF, LOKAF.com.
I can tell you from personal experience, ask for Natalie. She knows how to get on Kurt's schedule. All right.
And we'll make sure that we do a good deed for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kurt.
Certainly.